everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
And we are back. This is Strata.life on CL 650. I'm George Gordon, joined in studio with Dan Ahern from Key Pacific Property Management and Gordon Lee of CMW Insurance. And just so that anybody who's listening would like to get in contact with you for any more questions they would have, let's start with you, Dan. How do we get a hold of you?
Send it to info@keypacific.com. That's QUAY Pacific.com.
Not Quay is what you call it your first time. And Gordon, how do we get a hold of you?
Just email me at my personal email at gli@cmwinsurance.com.
Excellent. Time to open the mailbag. Let's pull out our first question. It comes from...
You've got mail.
That we do.
Our first question comes from James. Is there a common bylaw for a length of time for visiting pets to come into a no-pet strata?
Yeah, pets are a big deal in strata corporations, and the short answer is no, there's no common bylaw. I have to assume he's talking about the standard bylaws of the strata corporation. It just addresses how many pets you could have. The standard bylaws are part of the Strata Property Act, but you got to remember all bylaws can be altered, and they got to be voted on by the ownership at general meeting, and they can affect, the ownership can decide to restrict pets, no pets, size of pets, how long a pet can visit.
This is, I think, a big issue as more and more people, especially if they're, and I don't want to generalize, but people who are single or young couples, they've decided not to have children, but their pet is everything, and they have to take that pet with them wherever they go. Are there some buildings, if it's a no pets building, can you just say, no, you can't bring your pet?
Okay, now we're getting into human rights and compassion animals and seeing eye dogs and all that. So yeah, there's always some sort of caveat on when you create these restrictions, right?
Is there a common bylaw for the length of time that elephants? I'm sorry, that was just a joke. Ask this question from Rick: can anything be done when 2 or 3 individuals have enough proxies to carry or defeat a motion or bylaw? And this is not uncommon in buildings where perhaps one owner may own 3 or 4 suites.
Yeah, and then show up with 30 or 40 proxies, right?
Exactly.
So again, the quick answer is no, there's probably not a lot you can do. The provision of the Act allows owners to be represented by proxy. So if they cannot attend a meeting, they can, by their hand, instruct someone else to attend who will represent them. And now, having said that, there is provisions in the Act that if the representatives, especially if they're an owner-developer and they're doing things that are egregious towards the strata corporation, then there is provisions to put an end to that. But if it's a homeowner that is gone out and solicited a lot of proxies to kind of move an agenda a certain way, there isn't a lot you can do. And again, if it's egregious, you might want to consult with a lawyer to see what possibly can be done. Or the good old-fashioned democratic way is you get to the door before them and you gather up your own proxies, right? Yeah, and you see a lot of this.
Right. What would one of the big issues be? I think in terms of some experiences I've heard about, we want to limit the number of renters in the building and cap it. And the people who are owning the units, who are renting them out, are the ones that are going to be able to stem that when it comes to a general meeting. Is that fairly common?
Sure, that's one of them. Special levies to do capital improvements is going to be another. Specific bylaws, about pets is going to be something else. The duration of rentals. It runs the whole gamut. But generally speaking, the advocacy for proxies comes when money's involved, right? People are trying to
especially if you're standing in the way of somebody collecting that money.
Yeah.
And conversely, if you're in a building where you have problems with a renter, and the responsibility of that renter is the person who owns it, How do you as a person deal with that? Does your property management company come in there? Does your building manager come in there? What's the proper route to take?
Well, ultimately, the homeowner of the unit is responsible. So generally, if there's the homeowner has to be very prudent in making their tenant selection, make sure that the tenant is aware of and complies with the bylaws of the corporation and the rules of the corporation. Completes the Form K so that the management firm or the corporation knows who's living there, and then if there's something that they're doing against the bylaws, generally the notification of a bylaw infraction will go to the homeowner, but copied to the tenant. And but it's up to the homeowner to really deal with the tenant, because ultimately the homeowner is going to be responsible for any damages or any assessment against the strata lot.
We got this question from Sean. Our strata is about to go through a special levy meeting in regards to replacing our aging fire panel. Now, since the fire panel is an upgrade, we're being told that we have to install unit sirens in every unit. Now, does the fire system have to be upgraded beyond the fire panel?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say without knowing any specifics. I'd like to believe that they've got a a qualified engineer or consultant involved in this. Definitely when a fire panel is upgraded, maybe some of the equipment that's associated with it isn't going to work properly anymore, so there will have to be some upgraded. But unless there's a specific issue or a bylaw in that municipality, they may or may not need annunciators in the actual unit, especially the older ones. New ones I would say usually have, but yeah, it's very possible that an entire system will have to be upgraded because of a panel change.
What about insurance implications? And here, Gordon, if you're replacing the panel, it's decided you may not have to go beyond that. Are there insurance implications that you have to think about?
No. On the insurance side, there's no stipulations in the policy. In the wording itself, that's going to stipulate that there's a requirement of an upgrade that you need or don't need these things. So it wouldn't jeopardize your policy to not provide you with coverage. It's I think from the insurance company's point of view, we expect that the insured do the best possible to look after the building and maintenance of it, but policy coverage wise wouldn't affect it.
A general question with this one: we need some help with sections when we're passing new bylaws in a strata with sections. How do we tell the difference which bylaws apply to which section, Dan?
Yeah, it's odd that they're struggling with that. I mean, typically it would be fairly clear if you're writing the bylaws. First of all, there's each each section is considered an independent legal entity. But the Act, I believe it's Section 197, it talks about bylaws for the corporation that apply to every other section unless that section has made changes. So you might have a situation where there's a no pets. Let's keep with the pet theme, right? No pets.
Water and pets.
And then yeah. And then the townhouses, which are a separate section, say, well, that's not really appropriate for us because we got backyard, we have our own front door, so let's vote to change that. But unless they've had a general meeting to vote on it, they're going to have to comply with the bylaw that restricts it. And I mean, Gordon should talk about sections and some of the concerns on the insurance.
Well, the insurance, because basically sections, right now most strata corporation, will, if they have a section, you're going to find that what they need to do is they need to buy their own directors and officers insurance separately. And the reason for that is because it's a separate legal entity, and those executives, may or may not sit on the main, the joint strata corporation or joint council. But the whole thing is that those sections themselves are separate legal entity, and their meetings is purely about individual budgets and operations that's unique to that section, and that's why they exist. So they themselves need to have directors and officers insurance. Everything else, similar to the question that's asked, is that that strata policy that exists for the joint covers them. right? It covers the encompassing because the section is still part of the whole strata corporation. So just like the bylaws, it will apply coverage-wise to the same thing.
But the section can get additional coverage,
yes.
right? And the executive of that section are making decisions which may affect that section, and each section can be sued independently. So you need to have the appropriate E&O, D&O.
Yes.
Gentlemen, we're just about out of time, but I do want one more opportunity for people if they want to contact you, Dan, at Dan Ahern from Key Pacific Property Management. Your address?
Info at Key, that's QUAY, Pacific.com.
And Gordon Lee of CMW Insurance.
It's GLI at CMWinsurance.com.
And general questions, if they don't want to contact either of us, send it to questions@strata.life, right?
Excellent. And that means living in strata with all the questions that come with it. Who pays for what, the leaks, the bylaws, the privacy, the fights with the neighbors, mice, what do you do after the flood?
Yeah.
This is George Gordon. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll talk again in the very near future. This is CIL 650, strata.life, part of our Experts on Call series. I'm George Gordon. Have a great day.